Mopping up all the cinema enthusiasts under their feet, slasher movies set a new standard in the industry. Setting itself apart from other genres, it crawled to the top through blood and gore, providing a thrilling experience. The genre hit its peak between 1978 and 1984 in an era referred to as the Golden Age of slasher films. Child's Play, Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer paved the way, and many other masterpieces established a new fan base for the slasher genre. The pleasure of watching people suffer through external means, like stabbing and violence, dates back to ancient Rome. Maybe this pleasure developed during times when people were brutally murdered through unique techniques in front of the entire kingdom, be it through a hot lead down the throat or torn limbs through excessive pulling, a maniac seeking revenge, or a murderer framing his crimes, you name it. Now, settle into your cozy mattresses to see 20 unforgettable slasher movies from the 90s. Remember, each of these films has its own flavor of horror, so pick your poison and enjoy the screams. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The Night Brings Charlie, 1990. Written by Bruce Carson, this epic movie was released in the year 1990. The Night Brings Charlie revolves around Chuck Whiting, starring as Charlie Puckett, a disfigured gardener. The film begins with the death of a man named Shannon Davis. The beheading leads to an investigation by a new sheriff, Carl Carson, and his mortician, Walt Parker. While they investigate the killer's identity, the killer starts taunting the police through an increase in dead bodies, questioning their capabilities. Scanning through suspects and proofs the killer might have left behind, who will they end up squaring in Paco? The bigger question is whether they will be able to find the real killer. Directed by Tom Logan, this movie zooms in on a psychopath on a killing spree, beheading mostly teens one after another all around the town of Paco. The plot unfolds masterfully, blending suspense, thrills, and a sense of dread. This movie is one of the classics in a psychological horror genre. It is a must-watch for anyone who lives for the adrenaline rush of a good slasher flick. Maniac Cop 2, 1990. In a nutshell, this movie is gruesome and chilling, and it'll leave you biting your nails. Maniac Cop 2 is the second film in the Maniac Cop series, which focuses on Robert Z. Darr returning as Matthew Cordell, an undead police officer who became a serial killer after his own murder. The story is set in New York City, where Matthew goes on a massacre marathon, stalking the streets of New York and killing humans in a junked police cruiser. As the Maniac Cop stalks the streets, the deputy commissioner himself puts his enemy officers back on duty. Jack and Teresa, the two officers on their mission to fulfill their duty, find their beliefs clashing regarding Cordell. On one side, Jack believes Cordell is dead, while Teresa is sure that he is alive and probably plotting for revenge. We'll only know when the story unfolds. William Lustig, known for his low-budget horror films like Vigilante and Uncle Sam, is also the director of the Maniac film series. As a slasher enthusiast, you'll surely appreciate the film's cinematography and intense chase sequences. The underlying layers of this story and the vivid detail contribute to the overall tension of the atmosphere, capturing the gritty. Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, 1991. This movie is also known as A Nightmare on Elm Street 6, The Final Nightmare. Set in the town of Springwood, located in Ohio, we see Freddy Krueger, the antagonist, who succeeds in making the town human-free in a killing frenzy. In the midst of all this, John Doe, the only alive teenager, wakes up after a head injury on the outskirts of the town, but he fails to remember his identity and his family. He crosses paths with the three other teenagers along his journey, each carrying their own story. Upon visiting the Springwood orphanage, they discovered that Freddy, the killer, had a child. Now, John is left with a series of questions and truths yet to discover. The Nightmare on Elm Street series will surely satiate the hunger for creativity in horror movies, introducing Freddy Krueger as one of the most memorable villains, delivering inventive and gruesome kills, built the hallmark of the entire series. Freddy's past, nostalgia, and psychological torment of victims, and his sinister presence captured the #1 position in the box office for weeks. Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toy Maker, 1991. An American science fiction horror film starring Mickey Rooney is the 5th film in the Silent Night, Deadly Night film series. Now, as the name suggests, this film centers on a Santa Claus toy. The toy is anonymously sent to a boy named Derek, who opens the present alongside his other presents since it is Christmas. When Derek's father activates the toy, it ends up strangling him with its retractable cords, ultimately leading to his death. Derek's mother tries to entertain him with some other toy in a toy shop, but to no avail. Little did they know, they were being followed by someone. The next day, Derek finds another gift on his porch. Who is the one sending toys that murder? Or, if you look at the bigger picture, who is the one making them? This movie is one of a kind, and you'll barely find an innovative plot like this. The murderer has to be a very talented person to invent toys that hurt people and ultimately lead them to their deaths. This might be your perfect film to binge watch on Halloween or even Christmas. The unique elements of this movie, including its unexpected twists and turns, make it worth a watch. Leatherface, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, 1990. Playing the role of a character known for his face masks and chainsaws, he belongs to a family of cannibals. This mentally disabled killer was partially inspired by Wisconsin murderer Ed Gein. This notorious killer is known for wearing the faces of his victims as a mask. The movie begins with a chase where Leatherface kills a woman and skins her face to transform it into a mask. The girl's sister, Sarah, happened to watch all this through a nearby window. Moving on, we see a couple, Michelle and Ryan, who get lost and encounter Leatherface while Ryan changes his car tire. Will they be safe after this encounter? What is Sarah going to do now that her sister has been killed? Will this group blend any further? We never know. Have you ever met a more iconic villain than Leatherface? One who skins their victims' faces and wears them on his own as a disguise. Directed by Jeff Burr, the film invites emotions with a crazy adrenaline rush. The gore characteristics come to the surface vividly because of his cannibal family background, making this the most chosen film when it comes to slasher flicks. Scream, 1996. Produced by Kathy Conrad and Carrie Woods, this American slash film was released in the year 1996. The writer of this movie is none other than Kevin Williamson, whom we also know from popular films like Halloween, Friday the 13th, and our previously discussed movie, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, Scream's plot follows Casey Becker, who is a high school student living in the small town of Woodsboro. The entire story begins when Casey receives a call from an unknown caller ID, especially when she is home alone. This call was a call that flipped her entire life. The caller discussed horror films with Casey, but when he moved on to ask her questions regarding the horror films, and if she failed to answer them, he would end up doing something she did not want. Now, will Casey be able to answer the questions? Will she be able to live throughout the call? Or is this all an act? This film has paved its way to earning the title of the greatest horror film in the industry. Following its success, we see sequels to this film until Part 6, enough to prove that the thrill this movie offers is something out of the box that one cannot get enough of. The suspense created in this film is unmatchable, instilling a fear of the unknown. Popcorn, 1991. The name itself calls out the movie worthy of binge-watching your gore hunger out. The story starts with a group of college students who are horror enthusiasts. In order to race for funds for the film department, they decided to perform a horror movie marathon. This decision leads them to an abandoned theater. Our girl Maggie Butler is seen to have recurring dreams of a girl named Sarah burning, but at the same time, she is being chased by a murderer. Who is Sarah? And why is Maggie having dreams of an unknown girl? That too, multiple times. The unique setting in this film is what makes it stand out. Imagine watching a film in a movie theater, which itself revolves around an abandoned theater and a killer who uses various disguises and elaborate traps. This offers a fresh and creative approach to the slash genre. Don't you think this will be worth watching with popcorn? I Know What You Did Last Summer, 1997. This movie is partially based on the 1973 novel of the same name written by Lois Duncan. Let's delve into the secret of what actually happened last summer. Ray, Helen, Barry, Max, and Julie drive to the beach in the summer. It's just a regular friend group with a regular beach day plan, but this plan turns in a different direction when they end up hitting a pedestrian accidentally on their way back. This regular friend group notoriously passes the body by while two of them dump the body into the water when the pedestrian opens his eyes and grabs Helen. He is pushed into the water and the group never discusses anything about this. Someone knows their secret because 1 year later, Julie receives a letter mentioning I Know What You Did Last Summer. This film was followed by two others, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, 1998, and I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, 2006. The film offers the classic slasher premise of being stalked by a mysterious killer. Offering depth to its characters, the film adds emotional weight to its horror elements, incorporating an engaging plot that keeps viewers on the edge of their seats. Office Killer, 1997. A mixture of comedy and horror, this film introduces us to stars like Carol Kane, Molly Ringwald, and David Thornton. Doreen works as a magazine editor who is forced to work from home because of monetary issues. She starts a murder march without any reason after her co-worker Gary Michael's death from being electrocuted. Racing back to the scene, Gary actually called Doreen for help. Upon arriving, she disconnects her call to the police and carries Gary's corpse to her basement. Usually, we see a killer who murders because of psychotic nature or an abusive past, but here we find a woman killer out for blood with no reason. Will this killer be caught, or will she take advantage of her disguise as a woman? Carol Kane delivered her role exceptionally well. Her kills are creative and revolve around the setting of an office where she kills people using everyday objects in unexpected and gruesome ways. Moreover, our director, Cindy Sherman, features the movie with attention to detail. Doreen's kills are motivated by her emotions and instances from the past, delving into psychological aspects like isolation and mental breakdown. Urban Legend, 1998. Filmed in the spring of 1998 in Toronto, Urban Legend was released in the US on September 25, 1998. The killer in this movie has an inventive way of killing its victims based on urban legends, but he will not just kill anyone. His victims are students at Pendleton University. The students of the university gather at the campus coffee shop, while word of Michelle's, a student, murder spreads around. Brenda starts describing a massacre in Stanley Hall, but Paul, a journalism student, dismisses it as an urban legend. Later, Paul goes on to investigate local urban legends, which leads him to discover that the Stanley Hall massacre actually happened. Will this help him be a step ahead of the killer, or is it vice versa? We only know that a lot of killings are waiting to happen. The strong opening of the film is particularly memorable as it captures the audience with questions that need to be answered. The setting of the college campus, which is with its dark halls and secluded spots, contributed to the overall creepy and suspenseful mood of the slasher film. Also, the introduction of a variety of urban legends makes it even more fascinating for people who are interested in folklore and myths. Psycho Cop returns, 1993. Officer Joe Wickers, a serial killer empowered by Satan, or some might call him Lucifer, is the main antagonist of this movie. His killings center on a bachelor party. This plan activates when he accidentally overhears two working colleagues discussing a bachelor party they plan to throw. Vickers follows the pair and arrives at the location, tricks the guard, and then stabs him with a pencil in his eyeball. Soon, the people at the party go into a frenzy as they try to save their lives by calling the police, but to no avail. The thrill is easily visible on Vickers' face as he unalives humans. Will luck favor the victims, or will Vickers save himself even after committing a heinous crime? Adam Rifkin, the director, did not miss when he set a claustrophobic setting, making it difficult for the victims to escape from such a secluded and congested area. We also see strong female characters who add an empowering element by fighting back. The background music or soundtrack to this film adds depth to its creepy and eerie vibes. This will surely be a feast for our gore lovers out there. Decampitated, 1998. Decampitated is an American horror comedy film directed by Matt Cunningham, also the writer for the same. The movie follows the classic premise of a group of friends and their accidental mistakes. Vince, Candace, Paige, Garrett, Toby, April, and Roger, a group of teenagers who accidentally end up crashing their car on their way to a cabin in Colorado woods. Crashing their car disallows them to drive any further while Vince leaves for the cabin search. The group starts camping. Meanwhile, Vince is taken captive. The murderer, of course, follows the rest of the group in order to satisfy his hunger for blood and fear, a strong game for survival and the display of actual colors. This horror comedy film parodies the slasher genre, offering a fun and humorous take on the classic slash tropes. How often is it to find a movie blending traditional slasher elements with a comedic twist? Pretty rare, right? With its intact delivery of gruesome scenes, this film also takes care of its viewers' emotions by offering lighthearted comedy throughout the film.
Max!
Visiting hours are over.
Dr. Giggles, 1992. Starring Larry Drake and directed by Manny Cotto, this slasher film slashed its way into viewers' minds because of the chilling presence of the characters posed in the movie. Set in the year 1957 in the town of Moorhigh, we find a suspicious doctor whose patients keep disappearing. The townspeople started keeping an eye out and soon found out that Dr. Evan and his son had been trying to resurrect his dead wife by ripping out the hearts of other patients. The townspeople's knowledge paved his way to being shot by the police, but his son was never seen again. 35 years later, Dr. Giggles makes an appearance with his ugly laugh, leaving his real identity behind. Evan Jr.'s hideous laugh is why he's called Dr. Giggles. He works in a creepy hospital, adding to the atmospheric setting. His backstory as a child with trauma and a witness to his father's experiences adds to his affectionless character and insanity waiting to unfold, leading to unplanned medical deaths one by one. I've Been Waiting for You, 1998. Who has been waiting for whom? Recently, after moving from Los Angeles to a place named Pinecrest, Rosemary and her daughter Sarah started settling around their new home in a small town that was said to carry a witch's curse. Sarah was always a kid who never felt included in any activity. She was a kid devoid of attention. Her new classmates, a popular group as they belonged to the town's oldest families, made sure that she knew she was not welcome there. Sarah luckily finds Charlie as company since he doesn't get along with students at the school either, just like Sarah. Sarah is soon bothered by mysterious calls commenting, "I've been waiting for you." Who is this mysterious person and what is he waiting for? Moreover, what do his messages mean to Sarah? This film combines the elements of mystery, horror, and teen drama to keep the story engaging, with many layers and twists, centering around a high school girl who is new to the town, suddenly becoming the target of an unknown vengeful spirit with no idea of who is watching her behind her back. It brings its audience for a roller coaster ride, a hidden gem for spooky nights.
My poor grieving wife.
Uncle Sam, 1996. We all know Uncle Sam as a popular symbol of the US government, a manifestation of patriotic emotion. But caution, we all know this film is not about that Uncle Sam. Directed by William Lustig, the movie starts in Kuwait, where a military unit finds a wrecked American helicopter. Things go quite well until one of the buried bodies in the helicopter tumbles back to life. Not only that, but the burnt body, instead of turning into ash, ends up killing a major and a sergeant. Sam, the antagonist's body, is then delivered to his hometown while his entire town is busy preparing for Independence Day. What plans does he have up his sleeves? Is this the end? Or do you think Sam still has surprises left? Uncle Sam explores complex themes of revenge, justice, and morality, swaying away from the typical slasher films characterized by anger and bloodlust. The use of American flags, fireworks, and other patriotic symbols hints at the patriotic feelings for the dead soldier. Our antagonist, Sam, has a unique skill of dark humor that elevates the entertainment along with his kills. Intruder, 1997. Released in 1997, Intruder is a thriller and horror film, but unlike other American slasher flicks, this gem belongs to Hong Kong. The background is set around Shenzhen, where a prostitute is killed anonymously, strangled to death. The killer in this movie is none other than the star Jacqueline Wu, who plays the role of the female killer Yip Su Nang. Su murders people to change her identity, masking herself behind her victims. After arriving in Hong Kong, she sets her eye on Kai, a divorced taxi driver. She meets Kai in a brothel, where he is a frequent customer and soon learns about his personal details, such as his daughter, who is currently under his mother's care. We also meet Sue's companion later in the movie, and the Hong Kong police are after them both. Intruder provides a unique setting of a grocery store at a mundane location. Unlike other stores, this grocery store is mostly empty or sparsely populated. The film, directed by Scott Spiegel, showcases talent that adds to the visual storytelling and tension. Its whodunit aspect keeps viewers guessing as employees are picked off one by one, building suspense and intrigue. The Clown at Midnight, 1998. How would you feel if you witnessed a clown on your path at midnight? Creepy, right? Well, this movie depicts this situation in the way that is similar to its title. Years ago, an opera singer was murdered at an opera house when she was in the dressing room. This ultimately led to the opera house's shutdown. Years pass by and we see Kate, a high school student troubled with nightmares, when she discovers the fact that she is indeed Lorraine's, the singer who was murdered, daughter. This new discovery turns her fate back to the opera house, which is now considered a haunted place. Kate, her best friend, Monica, and a few other students join the group to restore the opera house. On the very first day, a stage light falls, barely saving Kate from getting hurt. The group ignores the sign and doesn't pay much heed to it. They are unaware that they are in for a surprise, or should we say, surprises. The film includes a rich backstory involving a murdered opera singer and a haunted theater, adding to the spice of the drama. Set in an old, abandoned opera house, the film provides a spooky backdrop that enhances the horror elements. How would you feel if you heard dramatic music similar to opera while watching this film? Well, the soundtrack featuring classical and operatic music multiplies the eerie vibes of this haunted theater. Slumber Party Massacre 3, 1990. Written by Catherine Saran and directed by Sally Mattison, Slumber Party Massacre 3 is the last movie in the Slumber Party trilogy. Set around Venice, California, a group of friends play beach volleyball for a while. They decide to go to a slumber party hosted by their high school senior Jackie. The group enjoys themselves that night at the party when three boys make an attempt to scare them, but Sarah is missing. Nobody was aware of the fact that Sarah had been murdered on her way back from the beach inside her car, and the killer remains anonymous. On the other hand, Jackie dislikes the three boys' attempt to scare them and tells them to leave. The killer stealthily lingers somewhere on the party's premises, searching for its next victim. While everyone is busy enjoying the party amid drinks and games, death slips its way in one by one. As a late 80s, early 90s slasher, the movie captures the style and vibe of that era, along with plenty of twists and turns. The plot keeps you guessing guessing who will survive and who the killer will target next. Slumber Party Massacre 3 delivers the classic slasher experience with plenty of suspense, scares, and creative kills that fans of the genre love without holding back on the carnage. Serial Mom, 1994. Starring Kathleen Turner, Serial Mom is a satirical black comedy film. Moms are known for their self-sacrificing and kind nature, which is why most of the kids find themselves more attached to their mom. But what will happen when a mom turns out to be a secret serial killer? Beverly Sutphin lives with her husband Eugene, who is a dentist, and their children. Posing as a perfect middle-class housewife, she secretly kills people if they tend to get on her nerves or offend her even slightly. Beverly harasses her neighbor, Dottie, enraged about the fact that she stole a parking space from her. This is not even close to the lengths this fatal homemaker can go to. Beverly ends up stabbing her date, Carl, for not arriving on the date, but he is also caught with another girl in a bar. It seems that our killer is pretty emotional, and her emotions scatter all over the place through bloodbaths instead of tears. Kathleen Turner delivers a standout performance as Beverly Sutphin, a seemingly perfect suburban mom with a homicidal side, offering a sharp satire of suburban life and the obsession with perfection. The film sheds light on societal norms, media sensationalism, and the facade of the perfect family by criticizing them. Also, it focuses on the emotional triggers of a human, referring to actions we humans take in an emotional frenzy. Though it may not be murder, it surely can be hurtful decision. The quirky humor of this film has its own charm.
Made Amanda angry.
Deadly Manor, 1990. A Spanish-American film is also called The Savage Lust. Traveling in a car to visit a lake in New York, two couples, Tony and Helen, and Rod and Susan, travel soundly while their other couple friends follow their vehicle on a motorcycle behind them. They're obliged to stay the night out on the roadside by camping overnight since they failed to reach the lake at the estimated time, according to their plan. Darkness did not allow them to go further, and they decided not to drive in an unknown area at night. They find an abandoned house at the end of the road, and the group decides to spend the night there. Helen did not feel good about this, so she left the house, planning to go to any town nearby and spend the rest of the night there. The rest managed to get into the house somehow and start finding disturbing things like sealed coffins, pictures of an unknown woman pasted on the walls, and a human scalp inside a closet. Will their wise decision end up taking a toll on them? What will the group do to save their lives? What underlying story does this house speak? As a product of the early 90s, the film cracks open the regular plot shell and introduces the creepy mansion setting, making it a must-watch for fans seeking a classic horror experience. The creative use of silence and sound builds the film's tension and creates an unsettling atmosphere. It all starts with a bad decision, doesn't it? Then follows the underlying past, a strong story connected to it, and mishaps vanishing in the dust while the unknown woman's identity is yet to be disclosed. Be it an ocean full of stories or a bucket full of mystery, if you're tagging along till the end of this video, you're indeed an enormous slasher flick enthusiast. From strangers as killers to a housewife as a killer, the video gives you a mega pack of different genres and plots, sticking to the slasher category. In this video, we discussed 20 movie gems from the 90s era that one would never forget, capturing viewers with an intriguing plot and cinematography that entices them till the movie's end is an unbeatable characteristic of slasher films. If you're a slasher enthusiast and have watched any of these movies, write the movie's name and let us know your experience in the comments. See you in the following video. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and stay safe out there. Thanks, everyone.